King Charles and Queen Camilla have touched down in Italy this morning, marking the beginning of an historic 4-day state visit to Rome.
The trip comes just weeks after the monarch's brief admission to hospital following his ongoing cancer treatment. It also holds a special significance, coinciding with the royal couple's 20th wedding anniversary this week.
Where does that time go? For more, we welcome royal commentator Angela Mollard. Hi, Ange. 20 years, wow. What's on their itinerary for the next few days?
So they're in Rome and near Bologna for the next few days. They're seeing the President and the Prime Minister of Italy. They're, of course, not seeing the Pope because he's been unwell. Charles is going into both houses of Parliament, and then there's a lot to do with culture. The Camilla, as you know, she loves literary pursuits, so they're going to see Dante's tomb, and they're also going to the Lord Byron Museum, and then they're spending their 20th wedding anniversary with 150 dignitaries having a slow dinner. Can you imagine? Not how I'd want to spend mine.
Just some close friends and a lot of small talk. This is the first international trip since the King experienced those side effects as a result of the hospital visit. I mean, is he a workaholic and is he pushing things too hard here?
He's undoubtedly a workaholic, Chris, but the reason is that he waited 3/4 of a century to actually do his job.
He'll do it.
He's been in preparation for this for all that time, and he's very committed. He wants to leave a legacy. We've seen him in recent weeks and months having a real position on the world stage in terms of wanting to smooth things out with foreign dignitaries and leaders. This visit's very important to him. He loves Italy. It's to the late Queen's maxim that you have to be seen to be believed, and he very much believes in that.
20 years married, the King and Queen. They've had their challenges, and there's also a great strength about their relationship too.
That is, and we say 20 years, but it's actually a 55-year relationship because they met when they were 22 and 24, and we know how ill-fated that was. Of course, Camilla went off and married Andrew Parker Bowles. Charles was in love with her. She was not a virgin, so he couldn't marry her. Then they get together all these years later. And actually, I was at the Ritz Hotel in 1998 outside reporting on their first public engagement together. And as we stood outside that hotel, they were at Camilla's sister's birthday, and they came out. And what was really staggering at that event was that no one believed she would ever be accepted, let alone be queen. And here we are, that was 1998. They got married after that. Now it's a 20-year wedding. She is so central to the throne. She's so central to his happiness. Apparently, they enjoy huge humour together. And look, they just get off the plane and they're straight into a photo call to mark their wedding anniversary. So they're doing the work. She's doing the work, probably at a time that she'd quite like to sit back at 77 and have a bit of a rest.
Having to show up, right? Yeah.
True love always finds a way, doesn't it?
It does.
It really does. Now, moving on, Prince Harry and Prince William's childhood bodyguard, Graham Craker, has died. The 77-year-old was around when the princes learned of their mother's death. How significant do you think this will be for the brothers?
I think we will have a statement from the princes. Of course, we did when their former nanny, Teggy Legberg, lost her stepson in New Orleans with the truck incident. Graham Cracker was, as we've just said, the bodyguard when Diana died. So he was actually at Balmoral the morning after when the boys learned that they'd lost their mum. He has talked about going out for a walk and seeing William walking the dog and going up to him and saying, "I'm so sad to hear about your news." And of course, he was behind the boys when they were walking behind their mother's coffin. So he was a very central figure in their lives for many, many years. And I think we will see them say something as that news filters through.
And of course, Prince Harry, still in the US. There are reports coming out of Montecito that he's not 100% happy with Meghan using the kids in her social media stuff. It's been pretty limited and she doesn't show their faces. Are we putting much credence behind this?
I'm not, and until this is a named and great source for this quote, I'm not going to ascribe it too much thought. But when I think about it, all the care that went into how they were presenting Archie when he was born, how there was all the shenanigans with the press. And
sorry, can we just interrupt there? See that shot there? That was released on, I think it was...
That's a few days ago, yeah.
No, the Harry one nursing Lily.
Oh, that was on Mother's Day, I think.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Father's Day, but... see that? There's no way that Meghan is putting that on her Instagram without Harry knowing. Absolutely not. So
he would know about it, but she's the one that wears the pants in that relationship. So if she wants to be using the kids in social media, having always said they want them to have private lives and complaining about press intrusion, It is an interesting move. Look, you know, I've been obviously following and commenting on them for years. I think it's interesting that she's now using them for commercial purposes, and I think it's fine to ask the question. As you say, Kylie, they're not showing their faces, and as a commentator, I want to see those kids, so I'm on board.
Right.
But does it open them up for scrutiny now and more coverage and more exposure?
Absolutely, because if they are now papped in the street by a British photographer, which is, you know, highly likely, they're under different rules in America than they are under the British Press Council, then you could then feasibly argue, well, you've made yourselves fair game because you've put yourself out there.
Yeah.
She also released that shot of her and Harry. He was hugging her. She was wearing black and white. Do you know she put that photo up, but then also linked her hat, her top and her skirt or jeans that she was wearing. So she's used the photo of him and linked her outfit, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, she's just an influencer now, Kylie. That's all she is.
I'm totally fine with her doing that, but then having that Prince Harry in the shot, that's what I reckon he wouldn't be happy about. A bit of an Easter break, though, for the Prince and Princess of Wales, Kate and William.
Yes, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do this Easter. Of course, they weren't at the Easter service last year at Sandringham because Kate had just been diagnosed with cancer at that stage. There is a footy game with Aston Villa in Paris this Thursday that William has suggested he's going to be at. That would make sense. There's a lot of gossip about the fact that they're going to take the children to Europe these holidays. Of course, they're older now. They don't get to travel much, you know, apart from family holidays to their various palaces. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a private visit. At Christmas time, they had a very quick, quiet ski trip to Europe as well. So I think as the children get older, wanting to immerse them in culture events, they love Aston Villa, the whole family. So I think that's highly likely. But I'm looking for that shot on Thursday of him with the kids. They're on school break, obviously.
We'll have eyes peeled. And fancy your trips only being restricted to palaces.
It's tough, isn't
Those
it?
poor kids.
Oh, that boring
Oh, my
old
God, those
Balmoral.
poor kids. Thank you so much, Ange. We're right up to date on all things royal.
Hello, Royal Sussex Squad family. Today we're diving into yet another example of the blatant double standards in the royal world. While King Charles and Queen Camilla are being celebrated for their so-called romantic Italian visit, the press is once again trying to drag Meghan Markle through the mud for sharing a sweet photo. The hypocrisy is just too much, but don't worry, we're cutting through the noise, celebrating Harry and Meghan's powerful presence and shining a light on the truth behind the media's obsession with smearing the Sussexes. Let's get into it. King Charles and Queen Camilla have touched down in Italy to mark 20 years of marriage. The royal rota is falling over themselves to portray this as a grand, historic event. They're sipping wine, shaking hands with dignitaries, and selling the fantasy of a royal love story that conveniently forgets its controversial beginnings. But let's pause. Why is Charles pushing through such a rigorous overseas visit while still receiving cancer treatment? Is it really about royal duty, or is it all about public image and press optics? The firm has always lived by the motto, you have to be seen to be believed, and Charles is clearly leaning into that strategy. Now, compare that with Harry and Meghan, who have chosen a quieter, more meaningful path. Instead of orchestrating grand public displays, they focus on real impact, from mental health advocacy to supporting veterans to uplifting communities around the world. But for some reason, the media just can't leave them alone. The latest target, Meghan allegedly using her children for social media influence. One sweet Mother's Day image featuring Harry and little Lilibet, and suddenly the tabloids lose their minds. They call her an influencer, claim Harry is upset, and accuse her of exploiting her own family. It's ridiculous, let's be clear. There's nothing exploitative about a mother celebrating her family. Meghan hasn't flooded Instagram with her children. She's shared one curated moment in a tasteful, dignified way, and the outrage? Manufactured. It's pure nonsense, especially when other royals regularly release staged photos of their kids for public consumption without a peep of criticism. But Meghan? Oh no. When she does it, suddenly it's a scandal. It's the same tired pattern. When Meghan steps into her power, the press panics. Whether it's a podcast, a fashion move, or a quiet family photo, they find a way to twist it. And the narrative that Meghan wears the pants in the relationship, that's just sexism dressed up as gossip. Harry and Meghan are partners, period. What the media can't accept is that Harry and Meghan don't play by the royal rulebook. They don't rely on pomp, privilege, or staged photo ops. They rely on authenticity, compassion, and purpose. That's what makes them so powerful, and so threatening to the institution they left behind. And as for this obsession with seeing the children, it's disturbing. These are private citizens, not royal mascots. Harry and Meghan made it clear from the beginning their children will grow up safe, secure, and out of the spotlight. That's a parenting choice rooted in love, not secrecy. Meanwhile, King Charles is out here shaking hands in Italy. Camilla's wardrobe is being breathlessly reviewed by the tabloids, and not a whisper of concern is raised about their use of publicity. But Meghan, she posts one moment and she's accused of self-promotion. The double standard is crystal clear. The truth is, the press needs Meghan more than Meghan needs the press. They rely on her name to sell papers, spark controversy, and deflect from other royal messes. Every time the Sussexes shine, the smear machine kicks into gear. But the world is catching on. People are seeing the pattern and they're not buying it anymore. Let's be real. The Sussexes are winning, and it's driving their critics mad. Harry and Meghan are living with purpose, raising their children with love and showing the world what modern royalty really looks like. If you believe in truth, justice and the unstoppable spirit of our Duke and Duchess, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to Royal Sussex Squad. And if you want to help us keep telling these stories and challenging the narrative, show your support with a super thanks below. Until next time, stay bold.